Since the Sandbox fans, we are back with another special guest. This one's a little close to home, but he moved away from us a little bit. Everybody, please welcome the CEO of Gerardi Performance, Michael Gerardi. Mike, how you doing today, my brother?
I am good, man. How are you, Steve?
I'm doing good. You know, this was a conversation maybe like a year ago. I could have just gave you a call, made it real simple, 20 minutes, 30 minutes down the road. Had to make it a little complicated for you. But the reason you know, this call kind of got reconnected, Mike, I actually just reached out to you recently. Been putting in a lot of hours in this podcast studio, and you know, I was looking in the mirror and I was like, just a tad worried about my posture. So I was like, let me hit up my guy, Mike. Like, I know he's hooking up the family. He's helping Matt. He's helping Mike. And obviously, you know, we go way back. So I was like, if there's anyone I need to contact right now, it's Gerardi to get me right. So, you know, with that, Mike helped me out, you know, just as a friendly favor. And I was like, you know what, Mike, let's get on the show. Let's chop it up a little bit. So, Mike, I know you did a little bit of a podcast, you know, on your own for your Gerardi Performance community. But besides that, like, what do you have for a podcast experience?
So, yeah, like you said, I started the whole Gerardi Performance thing. Kudos to you, man, because it's a whole lot of work. A lot goes into it. It's definitely like a full-time job. I can see how this can, like, definitely take a lot of your time. And I just, like, for me, where I'm going to dedicate my time, like, I just couldn't do it towards a podcast because it takes a while to build a following like that even you have, or never mind like the bigger guys, right? So when I like to do things, I like to go all in. So right now I can't go all in on it, but I still like to pop up on podcasts and, you know, appear where I can.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, Mike, you know, that was just a little different direction to get started. But I want you to, you know, just tell everybody, in case they're not from East or Boston, who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so my name's Mike Gerardi. I am from East Boston, just moved to Florida. I'm a personal trainer, doctor of physical therapy student. I'm an online coach now, kind of transitioning from the in-person stuff to more online. I love helping everybody, you know, look, feel their best. Life's too short to not be on top of your game.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. You hit that nail on the tee, and I hope you're not losing that Boston accent going down to Florida.
Can you tell already?
A little bit. But you know, I'm just curious, Mike. You know, what really motivated you to pursue this dream?
So I went to school I probably spent $250,000 on my education at this point, right? And so I remember I was at the funeral home. For those of you guys don't know, me and Steve worked together at a funeral home, and I was outside with Testa, and Testa I was like, man, I really want to make an Instagram. Like, you know, I know so much stuff, and I see all these people making so much money from this. I just like, I'm so afraid of what people are going to say if I go and do it. He's like, dude, he's like, shut up. Just do what you got to do. You know, Chester. He's like, do what you got to do, and it'll all work out. So I remember making my first post about, like, it was like coffee beans or something like that, something stupid. And it's just grown since then. So like, hey, if I have all this knowledge and I can help people be better, look better, feel better, mine as well. And if I can make some money from it, even better.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we all go through, you know, that grind somewhere, and either motivates us to help us get to where we need to be. But, you know, I remember me, you, James, and I mean, Vio, shout out cousin Joey, always having, you know, these conversations, because, like, besides Matt, the funeral home wasn't any of our long-term goals, right?
Right.
So we were all trying to, like, piece it together, and I just thought it was really unique conversations. I mean, we were like 19, 20, 21 years old before any of us were like, I mean, you and James were like really deep into it. I was just kind of like getting started, and Joey just started to really get himself off the ground too. So it was really unique, just us having like those business minded conversations, and we were just like also parking cars, opening doors for people, and everything like that.
It was really great because, like, you know, not a lot of people around us, you know, from where from, like, go off on that route, right? A lot of people are union workers, work teaching, school, whatever it is, which is like awesome. But, you know, having your own business, being a business owner, it's always helpful to be around that circle. One, to motivate you. Two, to get great ideas on how you can apply maybe what you're doing, what I can do for my business, and kind of mend it together, right? So I think it was super unique. Joe definitely had the best crowd he'll ever have. But it was pretty cool.
No, absolutely. And Mike, you know, I just when I was making the outline for this episode, I was just thinking back, and obviously, you have like very specific reasons on why you started Gerardi Performance, and I was curious, was any of this, really tailored around, like, because I know you were heavy into baseball, and you came across, that arm injury that was obviously like an inconvenience, and you really loved the game of baseball. But, did that have any leading motivation to kind of make you go into Gerardi Performance? I know you were all about, the healthy lifestyle, and you touched upon it a little bit, but what really, made you kick that off and just say, this is what I want to do?
Yeah, so I mean, hurting my elbow made me want to go to physical therapy school. So taking it back from Tommy John surgery, just because you mentioned it, like that's the reason why I got into physical therapy. Going through physical therapy school, I'd start, and there was always in the back of my mind, I was like, this isn't really like what I want to do. It'll definitely help me, but I feel like I have a greater purpose and I can be better elsewhere. So it's funny, I grew as a person where like I'm going to go and make money as a physical therapist, as like I'm going to maybe hire a physical therapist, be more like the businessy kind of mindset. My goal is to retire by 40, man. I can't do that being a physical therapist, right? So, but back to your question, in Gerardi Performance, how I made that, like you remember, dude, I was like this. Like me and Matt remember, like I was like this. And so like, no one took me seriously in high school, freshman year, sophomore year. Like I wanted to be this big athlete, but like I was this scrawny kid. Like, let's push this kid around. I was always tall, like hard-headed from Eastie, but like no one started taking me seriously until I started putting on weight, gaining muscle, and like having that confidence, right? And so right. And so I wanted to kind of bestow that upon people, that new self-found confidence, and just help people look and feel their best.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like, thank you for sharing that. So, there's a lot of competition, in your field. You have a lot of people nowadays that try and leverage, the similar skills to what you have. But I feel like with your program, it's really unique. The amount of time that you really just spend to get to know your client, check in on them, like those Monday check-ins, like that's going to be something you've been doing consistently for what, 3 years now at least?
Yeah, man. Consistently. Yeah. That's it. Consistency is going to be everything, but whatever, no matter what you do.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, like we wouldn't 3 years ago, like when we just had a picture of the sandbox as an icon. I never thought that like this is where it would be, and I'm extremely happy that we stuck with it, and this is definitely something that I plan on growing and scaling going forward, and being able to teach that and leverage that going forward. But I want to know, for someone that is looking to follow your program or looking to get into like this type of field for themselves to better themselves, why should they choose you compared to other trainers?
I really think I have where I separate is one, obviously the knowledge, right? You see all these gurus on Instagram and stuff, like they didn't go to college for this. They don't have their doctorate degree for this. Like they didn't do any schooling. They're just like, hey, I have big muscles. Listen to me. I found out that, that doesn't work. Like what works for you, Steve, isn't going to work for me. It's not going to work for Danielle. It's not going to work for everybody else. And so I've really found to meet the client where they're at. So not only do I want to get you the results because that's what my business runs on, but like I get a really good satisfaction of like knowing that I just changed your life and you're going to remember me for the rest of your life because I just had a client check in today. She hasn't been this strong or physically fit, she said, in 30 years, and this is the lowest weight she's been in 14 years. She's like 40 or 50 something. So like imagine seeing those every single Monday. Then you said you'd been doing this for 3 years. Like, would you ever get bored of hearing that on a Monday? Like, absolutely not, right?
Yeah, I feel like that would like motivate me more. It's like, oh shit, like if I did someone for that's like 40, 50, like I want a bigger challenge. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
But obviously,
So I think set like, well, you going like, why me? I care about whether you do well or not, right? So like I think I set myself apart where like it's truthfully coming from a good place where I want you to be the best person that you can be.
Yeah, and I mean that's important. If you didn't have that care and you were just so money driven, hold on one second.
Yeah.
I had a call and it's connected to my phone, so I heard it in my AirPods really.
All good.
Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
Okay. So obviously, when you're doing those check-ins and you actually care about the results and it's a lot more personal, it's easier for people to relate to you and continue with that program. And they're like, oh shit, like if I'm down 3 pounds in a week, I'm dieting right or just following the specific plan that Mike created for me, shit, what do you think is going to happen 10 weeks down the road? And
Right.
I feel like it's a continuous effect, not only for you, but for your clients. And that's why I think Gerardi Performance has grown and scaled in the way it has. And I can't wait to see where it's gone. I mean, we're going to talk a little bit later on in the episode, but like the elite CEO thing, like Mike, that like kudos to you, man. Like that's incredible being able to do that. And a lot of people don't have the balls to really just jump into it and fully devote their life and say, this is what I want to do. But you were so focused and driven on what you wanted to accomplish and who you wanted to be with it. And it was just like, okay, like you said, staying consistent, being able to learn a little bit more. And I'm sure that there was some bumps in the road, obviously, but that's how you learn and that's how you continue.
Right.
So Mike, I just want you to brag a little bit, right? This is a moment you get to do your little Conor McGregor strut.
All right.
How many clients have you successfully impacted over the years?
Clients alone, I'm probably up in the mid 1,000s, if not lower thousands. And that's a lot of people, right? But that's not even touching social media or anything like that, right? Not everyone has money to drop thousands on a trainer. So like my social media following, millions and millions of people have come across my page that I've impacted one way or the other.
Yeah, like whether it's just a simple like seeing some of your morning workout routines or just doing some of your business perspectives. Like I feel like there's so many different ways that like your Instagram profile specifically, I'm sure that caters, on TikTok and, you drop occasional YouTube videos too. So it's just like there's so much information that you can really get when you subscribe and be a part of your community. But Mike, going in creating all this, like there had to be a moment that like really clicked and you were just like, it's time to go all in. I know you briefly touched upon, how that was created, but is there like a specific moment you were like, yup, Ma, Dad, like Lucille, Mike, like this is what I'm doing. Like I hope you guys approve and support.
Yeah. So honestly, and I hope he's not listening to this, but like when I got the C word and the funeral home shut down, that's when I was like, shit, like I'm not making any more money right now. Yeah. So like I was like, fuck, like how am I going to make money? So like I had to go all in because in my room for 14 days, like my mom was putting food at my door. Like I was in a jail cell. I was opening my door, taking food in my room, eating it, putting the empty plate back out. Like I didn't have Xbox, any of that shit. I didn't do that. So like I just had to think like, how am I going to make money? So I sat in my room for 24 hours, 14 days in a row, quarantining. And that's when I really like learned so much in that 14 days. And I really put my best foot forward. Like I took courses, like 3-day courses. I reached out to old clients, new clients. I tried new things. I was giving stuff away for free just to test some stuff out. And so that kind of moment clicked where it's like, okay, I was it's easy to get stuck in the rut. Like you're making good money at the funeral home at that age, right? Like not a lot of people that age are making that money. So it's easy bills. Right. No bills. You're a millionaire. And so you're so tunnel vision. And so I remember I was like shit, this is my time. Like I'm so comfortable, which isn't good. So like, I have to get uncomfortable. So I said to myself, like, I'm not going back, and nothing against them, but like, I'm not going back because I have to do this for me. And that's when I made the transition. Is like, if I don't make money with GP, I'm going to be broke. So it was either one or the other. Yeah.
And going all in has definitely worked out. And I mean, it changed your life. You're now a Florida boy, right?
Yeah, man, I'm a Floridian.
Yeah, right. So I mean, that's something to be proud of. And I mean, we got the house down in Naples, but that's not something I do 12 months of the year. So, obviously that'd be really nice there. I mean, the podcast can be done remote, but obviously, I'm up at the high school. I'm over at the base, and those are things that I'm heavily involved in. And, I think it's good to help kind of leverage, the podcast to where I want it to go. Maybe that's, just having conversations with students in a classroom that they could be like, oh, like maybe I want to start a podcast. And maybe if it's not about sports, I could share about, my experience. I could share about life. You could sit there and talk about music, food, like whatever it is. You can literally make a podcast about anything.
Right.
But it's just like, also the power of conversation and how you can really grow through that to understand perspective and share perspective. I know those are things that you and I have definitely, accomplished through many conversations that we've had, but there's still people that are older than us that still don't even, realize that. So I feel like there's a lot that can be captured there. And you hear me talking about sports all the time, so this isn't something that it was hard for me to kind of like plan out. I mean, we're called Since the Sandbox because we've been having these conversations since we were sitting at the Central Catholic lunch table, Mike. Come on.
Exactly, yeah.
But Mike, obviously with anything that's good, there are also some challenges and some struggles. So, for someone that doesn't understand, a lot of like the background to who you are and what you do you mind sharing some of those struggles or, adversity that you really had to overcome that was just like, oh, like, I didn't think I was going to have to deal with this, go through this, or learn from this to help me get here?
Yeah. Touched upon it before a little bit, but like when I first started this, like, how it is. If it's not mainstream, like you're going to get ragged on for it from people around you, people that grew up with, right? Which is fine. But that was a big tough thing for me, and I hear for a lot of people who want to build a brand online and social media and all that is like, I'm worried about what he or she is going to say about this, make fun of me, whatever it is. Like that was the hardest part, that I had to just block out the noise for a little bit, and just do what I had to do to ultimately get to where I am today and where I want to go. If I had listened to all the noise and just like kind of shut down and closed down when everyone was saying, everyone would say Gerardi Performance, Gerardi Fitness, but like it was in a way that was condescending and that wasn't like supportive of me. It was like, haha, you're a fool. Look, why you're working out with your shirt off on Instagram kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so getting over what people have to think and just doing what you have to do to make yourself happy is the number one thing. And then I think the second thing, going into business, people think that like, I'm going to own my own business, I'm going to be so rich. And that's not the case. Like you are grinding. If you don't work, money doesn't come on your table, right? You go get a 9-to-5 job. Like, that you're going home. If you show up, you're getting paid, you're going with money. Like I can go a week and make $0, right? And so it's the stress of like, if I stop working or these systems or this business stops working, like I'm not going to make any money. So, you have to really be committed and don't just go in it for the money. Do it because it's something you love. Like you said, you love talking about sports. You made a career out of it. You're making a career out of it. I love fitness. I love the gym. I love health. Made a career out of it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And there's a lot of those things, especially where we grew up in a community like East Boston, right? Like I love East Boston, you love East Boston. You'll pop back and obviously see whoever. I mean, but where we grew up, like definitely kind of had more of that feeling and that kind of animosity, right? It's like, oh, like you think like you can go and do this? Like, I mean, me and Danielle have had these conversations for years because she's obviously been doing like the makeup, a lot longer than I've been doing the podcast. And then it's like, people are making videos, people making TikToks. Oh, like just because you sit in the circle and you talk with your friends doesn't mean you should have a sports podcast. And I don't need to share, who said that or whatever. I know these are things that we all talk about.
They're all in your head, man.
Yeah, exactly. And these are things that we talked about, at the funeral home and whatever. But it's just like, yeah, those 200 to 500, maybe 1,000 people that in East Boston aren't going to be the people that you're always necessarily trying to cater to or structure your business for. You know what I mean? There's 7 billion people in the world. It doesn't even necessarily just have to be Boston, East Boston, whatever. Like, you're doing it down in Florida, and you still have your Eastie roots, you have your Eastie ties, your connects. But that doesn't mean that somebody in Cali or New York or whatever can't come across Gerardi Performance. I mean, when you share the content that you do, as much as you do, it's just like, how could somebody not see your videos and be like, oh, like this could benefit me? You know what I mean? You sent me 3 videos that I could literally sit in this room or stand in this room specifically, and just when I'm editing or capturing a conversation that I can just I can work on. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, all those things are extremely important factors. So, Mike, you've started a business, you've been through the ups and downs. For anyone that's looking to kind of go in that avenue, regardless of what it is, what the business will be, if it's going to be successful or not, what's some advice that you could share to somebody to kind of help get that going?
I think I jumped the gun on this in the last one, but I'll say it again. So, 1, block out the noise. Two, make sure you love what you're going into, because if you're just in it for the money, you're going to burn out and you're going to end up back at your job. You really have to be passionate and you have to love the journey, right? So for me, it's not about, making X dollars. It's about how many people can I impact? And it's almost become like a game to me, like how high and how big can I build this thing, right? So, a scary thing is if like you're making, just throwing a random number, let's say you're making 10 grand a month and you're comfortable at 10 grand a month, like that's a danger zone. Once you get comfortable as a business owner, you're in the red zone. So you have to keep expanding, going out to masterminds, going to talk to people. Like if you can be the biggest fish in your pond, let's say you can be the biggest fish in Eastie, but like once you go out to all these places, you're this small. And then there's giants, right? So like that's who you have to get around. So if you're just looking to start a business, block out the noise, be in it for something that you love, and you have to love the process. Don't be in it for the money.
Absolutely. So Mike, you focus a lot on the mental and the physical for everybody. Obviously you do a lot of the training and the demonstration, but I would say that you have a good awareness of where your clients, stand mentally. So what's some advice for somebody that's looking to get in the best shape of their lives mentally and physically?
I think the number one thing for mental health, and like I don't have depression or anything like that, so I can't speak to those people, but like if I don't work out for 3 days, like I feel like shit. If I eat like crap, I feel like crap. And so I think the biggest thing is getting out of that rut and, understanding that nothing's going to happen overnight. So, you may lose 5 pounds in the first week, but like that 5 pound a week mark is not going to keep happening. It's just going to get harder and harder. Consistency is what's going to happen. So I'll have clients like, I only lost a pound this week. So like you have to bring them back and be like, well, times that by 52. So if you lose 1 pound for every week throughout the year, you just lost 52 pounds in a year, which is life-changing. So absolutely. Sometimes you have to take a step back and you have to think of the big picture. Like you didn't get to be 400 pounds in just a 90 days, right? So what makes you think you should lose? Right. So, but this is what I have to explain to people. How long did it take you to accumulate 400 pounds? Years. And then they get upset that they didn't lose 100 pounds in 3 months, right? Yeah. So like you kind of almost have to bring them back to reality a little bit and teach them to enjoy the process, go do exercises and stuff that you like. And just the mental thing, like winning those small battles in your head every single day are going to add up in every aspect of your life, right? Making your bed, picking something up off the floor that falls, like the little shit that you don't want to do. If you do it, it's going to affect all these other little parts of your life.
Yeah, and like something as simple as, eating in and cooking compared to like eating out and going to get food. Right. Those are all changes that you have to do, whether it's, you're focusing on your health, whether you're in a financial budget, maybe it's a little bit of both. Maybe you're strapped with time. I know that's, a big thing for people when it comes to like working out, that they always say, oh, I might not have this time, this and that, or whatever.
Everyone has time for what they want to prioritize. I hate that excuse. Like, I don't have time to work out. I'm like, dude, if I were to give you $1 million to go in the gym every day for the next 2 weeks, bet your ass you're going into the gym for the next two weeks every single day. So It's a matter of priorities, right? So it's unfortunate that, people who are that heavy, have diabetes, whatever, like they just think, I'll make it another day. And they're not worried about the health, effects that may happen until it's too late. And so I think, if you're listening to this or, whatever, making things a priority that are supposed to be important to your life could save your life. So just a little tidbit. It's not you don't have time, it's that you haven't made it a priority.
Yeah, and Mike, making that adjustment to what you mentioned with the 1 pound over like the 52 weeks, like I always talk about this, and it came up in recent conversations. The journey of what you're trying to accomplish is the destination. So if you want to be that 250 pounds from 315, that journey is going to help you get to your destination. All that struggle, the grit, the hard work, all of that is just going to be, part of making it so rewarding, right? And I feel like, whether you tailor that to health and fitness, whether you tailor that to a business or, just someone that you want to be, I feel like that's something that's, extremely important. And
right.
Mike,
like, dude, take yourself, like, if you were to snap your fingers, right, and say, all right, Steve, you started this 3-4 years ago, however long it's been. You can be in this exact position today, I'll just snap my fingers. I bet you would say no, because you've grown as a person, as a business owner, as a friend, as a family member, throughout everything you've had to endure to get to where you are today for the last 3 to 4 years. Versus if you just want to take the easy way out, like, you don't go through any of that.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And Mike's like, it all comes with like sacrifices, right? And you talked about like priorities too. Like I'm about to be 27 in September. I probably haven't drank since like my 21st, my 22nd birthday. So those were all things that I was thinking at that time. I just turned 21. Oh, let's go to a bar. Let's go to a club. Like, let's hit the casino.
Mm-hmm.
I was already kind of thinking like, I'm not saying that those aren't things that I still can't do in my life. Like, people could do that and enjoy it. People could live a healthy lifestyle and still do all of that stuff. Like, it like you said, it all depends on who you are. But for me personally, I just found that more as like a distraction. Like, you go to a bar or a club, like, I have a girlfriend, like, I'm spending $100 easily. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
And obviously you pay some repercussions on the next day. Like, you wake up, you feel like shit. Like, I work 6-7 days a week, especially when I have 2 full-time jobs at the school and the base, and I have to find a way for the podcast to work in between. I can't lose that 4 or 5 hours in the morning to be hungover or feel like shit on a Saturday or a Sunday to still help get to where I want to be in a timely manner. So those are a lot of things that people will say, like, oh, like, what do you mean you ain't drinking? What do you mean you ain't coming out? And they're just like, like, look, like, I don't want to sit here and like try and get you to understand it, because you either do or like you don't,
Right. Yeah. I mean, so, I right. And you said, like, you go out, you spend $100, you lose out on $100, but like you said, it's not all you're losing out on. Like, you're losing out on 4 to 5 hours a day that could have made you another however many dollars. Right. So when you think of it in that sense, and I tell this to my clients all the time, it's like, it's not the calories in the drink, it's how you feel after, right? You wake up the next day, you're dehydrated, there's no shot in hell you're working out, you want all the greasy food that you can get because that's what's going to make you feel better, and you're sitting in bed all day, so you're not burning any calories even from standing up. So like, it's not just the drinking part of it, it's everything else that comes after it. When you're 17, 16, like, yeah, go have 7,004 Locos. You can go up and do the same thing the next day, but like, not anymore,
Yeah, Mike, you did that a couple times at the feast. Couple 2-3 times.
Couple 2-3 times.
Oh God, that's funny. No, but absolutely. And when you break that down to like the course of a week, right? Like, let's say you go out on a Friday night. If you feel like that on a Saturday, it's going to make you probably a little bit more motivated. Like, oh, like, I felt like shit all day Saturday. Like, people say, oh, like, you just have to rebound and like drink more to like help you feel better. It's like, all right, now you're losing the course of like 3 to 4 days throughout the course of a week. So now it's like, okay, maybe you're committing yourself 40% of the week, but still, like, all that time is probably going to take you at least another week and a half to help you get back into that healthy lifestyle, healthy routine. Yeah. Mike, you talked about, we talked about the CEO thing a little bit. I want you to, reflect and share on the Elite CEO little plaque that you got. That was really cool being able to see you get that. And I hope we get a lot more big plaques and a lot more shiny objects coming your way going forward.
Yeah, so it's a mastermind. I joined that mastermind, and I was really struggling. I was making X amount of dollars per month, and that's like hold that complacency thing where it's like, okay, if I'm going to move on from here, I was consistently making this much money. I was like, I have to move. I have to get better, right? So who better to do it than some guy who's making multi-million-dollar per month kind of, thing, doing exactly what I'm doing, coaching people. So I joined this mastermind, and, running a business is different than working in your business. And I understood that. So let me rephrase. Working on your business and working in your business are two different things. If you work in your business, you just made yourself another job, but you're your own boss. If you work on your business, your money makes, like, you can go anywhere you want, Aruba, Florida, wherever, go to sleep. You're still making money in your sleep because you've worked on your business to make you money when you're not doing anything. So I joined that mastermind to really build the systems, as we call it, so that way I don't have to do as much work to produce X amount of dollars. I can kind of build the systems and have the foundation to do that alone and be better as a business owner. So that mastermind was great for me. I definitely learned a lot, and I'm looking forward to the ones I join down the future.
What has that like really meant to you, Mike? Because I mean, like that's not a recognition that you see, a lot of people get, or that's
Yeah.
just like
So
something that walked upon.
yes, I don't know if anyone saw the picture, but they give you a plaque, 50K in 30 days. So if you make 50 grand in 30 days, like here's your plaque as like a nice job. And I remember in 2021, like right a year from when I had COVID on, like that first year, so let's say from March or April to the next March or April in 2021, I made like 8K total for the entire year with Gerardi Performance. And so I remember like I was sitting in my bed at the time and I was like, if I could just make 50K a month, like I swear I'll never ask for another dollar, God. Like I promise. And like that was so far in the stars to me. Like I thought I was going to be, okay, if I can hit 50K a month by the time I'm 35, like that'd be awesome. And so to hit that number 2 years, a year and a half later was like so surreal to me. It's really just a testament as to if you set your mind to something and become obsessed with that something, the only way you lose is if you stop. There's no way to fail unless you quit. And I just like don't have that in my DNA. I'm not a quitter. Like I'm going to get what I want and I'm going to work for it. And the proof's in the pudding.
Yeah, proof's in the pudding. I love that, Mike. You ain't eating no pudding these days.
Greek yogurt.
Yeah, there you go. With some granola and some fruit, right? You're probably gonna have a bowl right after this. But Mike, you reflected on the CEO, and kudos to you once again, for all that. That's tremendous. Love to see anybody that I know succeed. So very happy for you doing well, and the fact that you can carry that all the way down to Miami is definitely, going to be a huge part of the journey. So, I just really want you to reflect on that jump coming from Boston and a community that you grew up in will always be a part of you. And now going to Miami, this can be, more of a lifestyle thing that you're impacted with. This can be more catered to your business. It could be great for both. Just really want you to give, the deep dive on why you did that. I know the weather, and it's obviously a lot easier to make content for working out and fitness and everything like that when it's 80 degrees every single day all year round. So feel free to enlighten us.
I mean, I've wanted to move now for like 4 years, probably since my senior year of undergrad. But I was so dead set on becoming a physical therapist and making it through grad school. A little bit of that was ego, but I wanted to do that, so I put it off. One thing led to another. I didn't end up finishing school, and I was like, I'm moving down here. So my girlfriend and I, we moved down here, and it's been the best decision that I could have made. The toughest part is, leaving everything back home. Like you said, like that's part of me. It's who I am. Like I was born and raised in Eastie, grew up there for 25 years. Love everyone there. Love my family, everything. But again, big fish, small pond, you have to get out there. And so I think, going to the mental health side of things, for me, I can't speak for you or anyone else, but like when it's dark at 4 p.m. and it's 20 degrees outside and the sun doesn't come up till 8 a.m. and you have a client at 6 a.m. and have to get up at 5, it's draining and it takes a lot out of you, right? So like I'm sitting at my desk at 4:30 during the winter, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like it's dark, but it's only 4:30. Like I'm ready for bed, dude. So I was like, you know what? I got to come down here. Every time I'd come down here, I'd be in the sun. I'd go home with so much energy, so much motivation. And I was just like, the sun is like legitimately life. The sun, gets rid of that depression, gets rid of that laziness, and it brings out the best in you. I've felt that tenfold since being down here. So those are my reasons for moving, really.
Mike, you got to miss the Santapio's pizza, though. Come on.
Of course. I'll always miss Santapio's. Have we had a guest or like a poll, Santapio's, Regina's? Like, what are people
Let's
saying?
Let's make it right now. Guys, Gerardi Performance, Mike Gerardi wants to know, are we Santapio's people or Regina's people? Like, Eastie, like, let's stand up. Like, let's not disappoint here. We all know what the answer should be.
Yeah.
Santops or Regina. Mike, I hope you're picking Tops, right?
Of course, Santopios. Of course. I'm like, all right, do I want like a lamb or do I want the pizza in there? And
Yeah.
then my fat ass always gets both, but that's a story for another time.
It's all right. You can skip out on the bread, but we'll still take the pepper juice with the
Dude,
pizza.
the bread
right?
is so good too. It's unreal.
Oh man, no, Michael. I'll try and work on getting you some sent down to Florida. I don't know how edible that would be by the
Dude,
time
I
it got
found
to
a
you.
beef place down here. I found a
Did you?
three-way roast beef place down here. It's called Boston Beefs. It's
Wow.
like not up to par like with the best of the best up there, but I crave three-way roast beefs all the time, so it's good to have a little piece of home over here.
So you're gonna bring back the beef channel, Mike?
Remember that? Yeah, those are one of the ideas that crossed my mind when I was quarantined in my room for 14 days. I was like, all right, let's just have every beef I can for the next 14 days and make a channel.
Like I remember Mike coming to work and he was like, "Oh no! Like after work, I'm going to Anthony's. I'm going to Bill and Bob's." And that was like Mike was getting in a workout, Chipotle, a shift at Ruggiero's, and Bill and Bob's, all within like an 8-hour basis. So
yeah, man, because I was just watching pizza review after pizza review after pizza review of sponsored by Dave Portnoy over here. I'm gonna be the beef guy.
Yeah. Here we go. We like them beefy, Mike, right? So, Mike, the next part of the podcast is going to be more tailored to the Since the Sandbox side. I'm happy and thankful that you shared, your journey and, what's really gotten you here today. So I'm going to skip around a little bit, and this is going to be our rapid round. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a this or that question. I want you to answer, within 5 seconds. And you can elaborate a little bit after if you like. Maybe you have some tough choices here. 5 of these questions are going to be tailored towards you, who you are, your lifestyle, and healthy fitness routine. And 5 of it's going to be tailored more towards sports. And then we have a couple of questions, to get more into that. So, Mike, you ready to get started?
Let's do it, man.
All right, Mike. Pizza or pasta?
Fuck, pasta.
Wake up early or go to bed late?
Wake up early, no doubt.
Hike or swim?
Hike.
Miami or Boston?
Boston, Miami. That's a tough one. That's a tough one.
All right. Coffee or booze?
Coffee.
All right, good. Those are all the answers I thought. I mean, pasta. I was like, obviously, that's going to go a little bit more towards your roots, but like, who doesn't love a good slice? You know what I mean?
It depends who's making the pasta,
Of
right?
course,
Is it Nana making it, or are we getting it,
Yeah, you can't be buying gravy or people call it red sauce. You can't be buying that out. Like,
we
I
don't
can't.
want Rayo's at Trader Joe's.
Yeah, right. Oh my God, Mike, I wanted to gag. I saw a video of Domino's making their gravy for their pizza. It was like, I don't even want to go in depth. You get turned off.
Forget
just hearing
it.
that showed off. All right, we got 5 more questions. This is the sports round. Let's get started. Rodgers or Mahomes?
Rodgers.
Edelman or Gronk?
Gronk.
Tatum or Pierce?
Pierce. All the way.
Super Bowl or NBA Finals?
Super Bowl.
All right, this one's a little bit more tailored to me, but had to ask you. Peyton or Eli?
Peyton. Good
All right.
dude.
I figured, I mean, Eli got the best
Nothing
of
against the Giants. I just really think Peyton's a genuine dude. Nothing against Eli or anything. I just like Peyton Manning as a person and as an athlete.
Yeah, I mean, he's hilarious. If there's 2 people I'd love to be trapped in a room, it would be those 2 guys right there. But Mike, obviously, like I figured you knew Rodgers and Mahomes. Edelman and Gronk I thought was going to be a little bit more of a tougher one for you, but definitely wasn't going to be as hard as, the Miami or Boston question.
Yeah, that's a tough question.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a
so,
tough
Mike,
question.
You survived the rapid round. Was that all right? Were you expecting harder questions? Was
no,
that,
man.
How was that?
That was good. I was like, shit, he wants me to answer in 5 seconds. Like, my brain was exploding, especially with the Miami one. But that was good.
All right, Mike, couple more questions before we wrap up the conversation. So, obviously, growing up, we played sports. I mean, if you want to take this to, you play Legends baseball, you played at Malden Catholic. We were on the White Sox together where we won a couple of championships. You played some Central Catholic pickup when we did that before 8th grade.
Yeah.
That's going way back when. But, obviously growing up in Boston, I mean, we were the city of champions from the age that we got to grow up in. Do you have a favorite athlete of all time?
Favorite athlete of all time? Probably Manny Ramirez.
Okay.
Yeah. Manny, I just love the dude's like he's super passionate, but he also like made jokes. Like remember like came out of the monster. Like I used to piss my shorts laughing when he would just like walk down the first baseline after like a ground ball or something. Like he just like brought the fun. Yeah. He brought the fun into baseball. Baseball's kind of dry to watch, but that dude was always exciting to watch, and then you have the memorable like have his hands up in the air when he hits that home run, and so some cool childhood memories. That 04 championship was insane.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm pretty sure I was in either third or second grade at the time, so I mean we were very similar in age. I mean, Mike, you just missed the cup by what, like 10 days to be in our class?
Right. Yeah. So I was born on the cutoff, so like my parents had the decision, and they kept me back.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wicked funny. But even with Manny Ramirez, I mean, I remember this dude like fielding a ball like right at the wall. He did like the one step up, gave the fan a high five real quick, like
exactly.
like that shit that you never see people see. Like
right, like he just had fun with it, man, and that's what it's all about. You gotta enjoy life.
Absolutely. So Mike, the next question, this can be tailored to you, something you witnessed, something you experienced. Maybe it was a parade that you went to, because we know that there were a lot of those, and you had a good time with those parades. But I want you to share, either your greatest sports memory, whether that's professional or your own experience.
Greatest sports memory. First one that comes to mind, and I hope he's listening to this. He'll probably get a laugh. I remember I was on, what was it? It was the Cubs. I was the Cubs in Little League.
What, your 26 home run year or 32, whatever it was?
Close. James Farina let me use his blue Worth bat. I've never seen it before, but like I was tall, and so I was like, shit, I need a 32-inch bat. And it's like James is like being a good dude. He is like, hey man, take. I barely spoke to this kid first or second game. So I got up to the plate, and then remember Jason. He pitched on Phil's team, the Cleveland Indians. He had his last name, but dude Jason, he like threw smoke. So I was 10 years old, second year in the major league, I think, or might have been the first. And I used his bat, and then I hit a home run that just went over the fence at Festa Field, and that was like the best. Huh?
One of many.
One of many, yeah. That was like the best moment of my, sports career still to this day, just because I remember like, 10 years old hitting your first home run, like you're the shit, right? Yeah. And then I'm going around first, second, see my dad like going crazy for me, and it's a memory that I'll remember forever for sure.
That's awesome. And yeah, I mean, like, I don't know if you had more. Shout out to Alex. I know Alex Maxuti's always watching the podcast. Like, I'm pretty sure our last year, our 12-year-old year in major leagues might have been your 11-year-old year or something like that. You guys were going shot for shot. It was like, dude, like, what bat were they using? what was Maurice and Lucille feeding you guys at home? Like, what was going on?
Yeah, I remember Alex was the competitor. I remember that. He was hitting dingers. He was using some orange bat. I forget what it was, but the DeMarini, I think. I was like, you're corking that bat. You're gassing that bat.
Oh, shit. That's way too good. It's always fun to reflect back. Kev's sitting in the living room right now. He shared the if you just got missed a year or you were part of that team. I know Jerry and Ray were on it.
Nah, man, like that. I remember that. Like the year that you guys went to Quincy. Yeah, I remember that year. Like my coach, I played travel ball for a new coach. I was 13, and he was so hard ass that like he made me hate baseball. I quit.
We went on a historic run.
I was like, "Fuck this! I'm not playing this." And so the one year I missed, of course,
the league at the time.
You guys, that was probably so amazing.
it
Yeah.
felt like such an embrace, like from East Boston.
Yeah,
Always parked
Gator.
as packed since those days. You know what I mean? So always really cool to reflect on. Now, like you'll be lucky if you get us, playing a men's softball league, whether down the beach or over in Winthrop, things like that. But it's cool that I have the coaching perspective over at East Boston High to still be a part of baseball, because I love that. You obviously played a little bit at the base. I'm still over there too. So baseball was a big part of my life growing up, and I'm happy. It's still a part of it. But Mike, you talked about baseball. You mentioned Manny Ramirez. Now that you said that, like, Manny was in this question. Like, I was like, Pedro or David, or Pedro or Manny. So now I have to ask you, if you could choose the career of one of these athletes, who would you choose and why? And I'm going to toss Manny in there. You can have Pedro, Big Papi, or Manny Ramirez.
I think David Ortiz. If I could have the career, I would say David Ortiz, just because I think out of those three that you mentioned, and put your in your 2 cents in this too, he's had the biggest impact on Boston. Like the cop going like this, like 04, 2013, with the marathon bombing and everything. He had the speech out there, and I feel like he was the Boston Red Sox for his time here, and just as a kid, like Big Papi,
yeah, I mean, it's really tough.
You freaking look up to that dude. Like, that's who you want to be as a baseball player, right?
Pedro did
clutch,
a lot of recruiting for that to happen.
Bottom of the ninth.
So I'm not sure if you knew that.
2-3 count.
Pedro,
and, like,
I mean,
3-2 count, and it's the last
just
inning, and you just want to be up there and be clutch like David Ortiz, right?
And so on and so forth. I mean, we can't sit there and say the same. The memories are a lot more relevant for us for Ortiz, because we got to see the best of his career. Pedro, I mean, we just saw glimpses of, like, probably the back end of his prime. I mean, Pedro was pitching in the 90s when we were still, sitting on rugs in K2. You know what I mean? Yeah. Obviously, yeah.
Right.
Wakefield, the knuckleball, yeah. But I mean, either way, you can't go wrong. I mean, Pedro's one of the greater pitchers of all time. Papi's, I mean, the thing with David Ortiz,
I think you're right.
I
don't remember too much of Pedro.
Not too many conversations.
For me, the pitcher was Kurt Schilling, Jonathan Papelbon. Like, those were the guys that I remember.
MLB careers, and now look at them both sitting there talking about baseball, whether that's through Fox, MLB Network, or whatever it is. So, either way, Mike, even if it was Manny Ramirez, shit, like, this dude's probably still getting a check from the Sox. So, would be great regardless. So, Mike, this is the last question I have on the podcast, and then I want to give you a couple of minutes to, just kind of reflect. But, since the Sandbox, we talk about community. You just gave back to the can drive that we did right before you left for Florida. We do the toy drive. These are things that I've made sure to make
those reruns
a staple since the Sandbox, as we've grown with the podcast. And the East Boston community has done so much, for us, for me specifically. Obviously you knew my scenario, and I felt embraced and loved by East Boston, many different ways. People always bring it up, memories, this and that, from the past, my family's business in East Boston and presence with my grandfather, so on and so forth. But what does community, really mean to you? You have an extremely large community with Gerardi Performance. You have a community that you'll always be a part of in Boston. You're creating a new community, friends in networking, down in Miami, or in Florida, I should say, Fort Lauderdale. What does community mean to you, Mike?
Yeah, so, really quick, taking it back to right when you guys went to sectionals, like the fact that all of Eastie was in those stands, like, just gives me the chills, and I wasn't even playing, right? Just thinking about it, like everyone from Eastie, was rooting for you guys, and like you had that energy running through you when you guys were playing, and like must have been so surreal. And so I think, aside from that, doing things for the
come by.
people around you,
Yeah.
for the greater good, aka the community is super important. It's very easy, especially post-pandemic here, to be selfish or seclude yourself in your home, or just not worry about anything around you. But, I miss the days where
block
neighbors
party.
were neighborly and actually get to know
Yeah.
one another, right? So our grandparents did this all the time. Like, your grandmother would just not even tell my grandmother and just go over the house, right? Like, right. So, like, I just remember being little, like, all the people on my street, like the old timers, would just bounce house to house, like, go have a cup of coffee midday, or like come over for dinner, or after dinner, a glass of wine, like stuff like that. Block party, like, dude,
For
like,
sure.
how
And
unreal
Mike,
was that, right? Like,
some of that
that's,
community was
you
friendly.
don't
Some of
don't
that
see
might
that
have
anymore.
involved some like
And
pool
so I
hopping
think,
a little bit, but we
being
don't get to get
and I
into too
commend you
much
for
detail.
doing this, like being someone who tries to keep community together,
with all of that.
is something definitely commendable, and something I'm working on as well. I think it's super, super important for the community as a whole, and for yourself.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
No, I
right?
missed that too, and
but
I
like,
definitely try
going
and,
to that. Like,
do
if
the best I
imagine
can.
pool
I
hopping
mean,
in
it's
today's
not
world,
easy,
like you're
juggling
getting the
everything
cops
that I
called
can,
on you,
but
or something.
I
Like,
do love,
our neighbors,
that
like
everybody just
they just like tell you
now
to
when it
screw
comes
off
to
or something
Thanksgiving
like
and
that, or
Christmas,
didn't
like,
care. Like,
oh, like when are you
everyone
coming
was
to
way
my
more
house? So I
friendly
pick
and
up
like
cans,
close
or when
than
can I
I
send
don't know.
you
Maybe
like a
it's me
couple of bucks
than
so
they
like
are
when
today.
you go to the store you can pick up
But
some extra stuff.
I miss that.
I love that, and the fact that like it's not just going to somebody that I know. It's just gonna be like, oh, like I hope that gets like an impact. Like, I'm hand delivering these things with students from the high school to the East Boston Community Soup Kitchen, where people are literally lining up, like waiting to get like a meal for the day. Like, they're only open like there for lunch. But I think it's really important that I take kids from the high school so they not only see like, okay, like I like this dude cares about people that he doesn't know. You know what I mean? So just if I can have that resonate with not even every single kid that I come across with, but a percentage, that should, make either a lasting impact in them or something that they continue to do, going forward. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Mike. Just trying to be the example for what we need in the world. But Mike, I want you to just share, this is just opening up the floor to you before we wrap up the conversation. Anything you'd like to share with the Cincy Sandbox community?
You said the word. It's all about
impact.
impact. So those kids are going to remember you forever. They're going to remember that forever. And hopefully, like, they get passionate about doing stuff that you're showing them that you do, and it'll spread like wildfire.
Thank you,
I think it's super cool what you're doing, like I said.
Absolutely. And Mike, where could anybody, get the quickest result to turn around if
Steve
they
here
wanted
puts
to get
in a lot of work,
Is it
so
Instagram or your website?
keep giving him all the love, keep giving him all your attention. He deserves it. For anyone that it needs help mentally, physically, go. It doesn't have to be me. Go
Awesome.
out, get help.
Mike, thank
There's
you so much
no
for taking
shame
the
in
time. I know
taking
it's really
action
busy,
to live your better
juggling,
life. Life's short.
Clients being
It's
able
very
to have
easy
your
to
own
get
work
complacent.
routine, and
Don't
you
get
got the girlfriend
complacent
with you,
feeling
so I hope
anything
you
but
guys
your
are
best.
having a great time down in Fort Lauderdale, bouncing down to Miami, whatever it is. Mike, hopefully we can get connected soon. Whether you're probably not coming back up to Boston anytime soon.
So you could follow me on Instagram at Gerardi Performance.
Yeah, hopefully.
Click the link in my bio. You can fill out an
been down there
application.
if it wasn't for the hurricane on the West Coast down in Florida with Naples. That would have just been, a drive away to just grab something to eat. Obviously, with the scopism, my brother, we would have made that happen, no problem. But definitely, hopefully that can happen, real soon, Mike. But really proud to see, everything that you've really accomplished, and keep being different, right? Keep just making a difference, making people, become them best
You're
selves.
coming to me, man. You're
it's
coming
all
to
gonna
me.
work out the way it's supposed to. I believe that. You believe in God. God's going to set us on the path that we need to be on. And so really appreciate you taking the time. And just always looking forward to be here for you and vice versa. So since the Sandbox
Right.
fans, make sure you guys go check out Gerardi Performance. I know we all have those questions about ourselves, whether that's mentally, physically, whether you're scoffing down a three-way or a burrito and you're like, shit, I might not feel the best after this. Or on the weekends, you're waking up and you're like, oh, I don't know about the gym today. Talk to my guy, Mike. He's going to get you guys focused and motivated to do what you need to do. You guys know the deal. Stay in contact and stay in touch with the rest of the content for the Since the Sandbox podcast.
Likewise.
You guys know the deal. Peace, love, and 5 stars.